I've been talking to local author Sam Reaves. His latest novel is Cold, Dark Earth. When did you realize that you wanted to be a writer?
Oh, I think I was about 6 years old. As soon as
You learned your ABCs?
pretty much. Well, I was an early reader, and I learned to read when I was 4. And probably around age 6 when it first occurred to me to think about where books come from. And my mother explained, well, people sit down and write them, and they're called authors. I decided that's what I want to be. Of course, there were many other things that came in along the way. I wanted to be a jet fighter pilot. I wanted to be any number of other things, but the desire to write books was always there. And eventually I actually decided it was time to get around to it, and sat down and started writing a book.
It was your 5th book that was the first one published.
Yes.
How hard a period is that to kind of write and face rejection, and yet you have it still burning in you to keep doing it?
It gets discouraging. Once you accumulate 20 or 30 rejection letters, you have some moments of doubt, but persistence is the key. It's just, you have to keep doing it because you get better at it. Those 4 unpublished books I wrote were apprenticeship books. That's how you learn how to write a book, is you just sit down and start doing it. And my first book was embarrassingly bad. The second book a little less so. The third book, they get a little better, and eventually I came up with one that I was able to send to a New York agent and have her agree to represent me.
And this is a book about a cabbie, a Chicago cabbie,
first
Cooper
published
McLeish,
book, yes.
which then became a series.
It became a series, yes. I wrote it as a standalone. I just wrote a book about a Chicago cab driver getting involved in a murder investigation. When my agent sold it to Putnam, the first thing Putnam wanted to know was, can you make this into a series?
Okay, so that must be like, oh my God,
Yes.
can I?
Yeah, what do you say at that point? Of
I've
course.
been struggling for so many years.
Yes. You bet I can make it into a series. How many do you want? So I did, which got to be a little bit awkward, because coming up with a pretext for this cab driver to get involved in,
It's
murder
not,
after
yeah,
murder
unless
was
somebody gets in his cab and dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that, it just had to be a little bit inventive.
But you've also written a series about police officers.
Mm-hmm. I wrote about a Northwest Side Irish-American Chicago cop family, the Dooleys. I wrote Homicide 69, which is about the patriarch, Mike Dooley. That's set in 1969.
And then we jump forward.
Jumping forward a couple decades, I wrote a sequel called Dooley's Back, which is about his son, Frank, 30 years later.
So you have a lot of connections with Chicago cops, and you even wrote a nonfiction with a Chicago cop.
Yes, I've always known a certain number of police officers. I found them very interesting people, and they have been very helpful to me in writing my books. And then one of them approached me, sent me an email a couple, 3 years ago saying, are you interested in doing a book with a retired police officer with outfit connections who did a term in federal prison? He's looking for a writer to help him do a book. And I said, sure.
Heck yeah.